Hey y'all, welcome to the Fill-In Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at Tesla. And as you can see, Tesla's just been trading sideways. And I always try to find that place of, where price is gathering. And I try to mark my levels as, support and resistance, y'all. Simple support and resistance, in my opinion. But I always say, where are my trouble places right now? So as of now, Tesla has been having trouble pre-market in this area here around the 346.23. We closed at 343.82. I needed to point that out, right? So we are up just a little bit. However, that is a rejection area for us. And then I have this area 346.40. So that's going to be a trouble place for us. So should we break this level, that means we could possibly come back to this level 346.84 and possibly have trouble. Should we break that 347.50? Again, here at 347.78. Now, if we break that 347.78 for Tesla, we have the ATR trailing stop and a previous level that I have marked around a 348.75 and a 348.66. So 348.66, 348.75. That's going to be in my opinion, a strong resistance area for Tesla, in my opinion. So should we break this level, we could possibly have trouble again here around 349.37 and breaking that level 350.02. Now, let's see back to the downside. Should we break this? There's a few moving averages here, which is the 20 and the 50 EMA. So I'm going to use that as a support area for me going back to the downside. However, should we lose those areas of support, the 344.63, breaking that to the downside, I have the 344.29. And as you can see, price has been kind of like in that area before. So should we break that, we could very well come back down to this area here, 343.81. I look at the body of these candles here. Why? Because something stopped us in that area. 343.81. If we should lose that area, we could very well come back to around 343.39, and breaking that brings us back to around the 342.76. Should we break that level to the downside for 342.15, and if we lose that area of support, 341.61. And as you can see, y'all, I like to see this here, that 200 EMA and a previous line that I had marked is right here, kind of like at the exact same place. 240.90 is where our 200 EMA is, and I have around 340.85 as a support area. So should we break that area as a support, we could very well come back to 338.83. So if you are trading Tesla today, I'm going to zoom out because I like to zoom in because I know sometimes my Tesla charts are a little congested. But if you are trading Tesla today, again, it is trading kind of like in a zone for us, and it could very well move in either direction as it did on yesterday. It was interesting to see this high of 354, and we hit that twice. Once came down, back up again, only to come back down. So again, if you're trading Tesla today, y'all know I say in this market, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. So trade carefully, right? So we are looking at the SPY. We closed at 592.85. And as you can see, we come down to this level around the 387.70. SPY is an inside day candle today. That's something I needed to point out, meaning if we broke through a certain level, then the target to the downside, which we've already met that target. So that's going to be interesting. So let's start with where are the trouble places for the SPY, right? So it looks as if we've been trading in this zone here. Price has been, we came down, but for some reason we made it back to this zone. So I need to pay very close attention to that. So support as of right now, 589.20. We can use the resistance here at 590.16, and that is the zone that we were trading in. Now back to the upside, breaking back above 590.16. We could possibly have trouble 590.44. Should we break that level somewhere around the 590.89 area? And if we should break that, y'all see where that 50 EMA and that ATR trailing stop, that in my opinion is going to be strong resistance for the SPY around the 591.05 area. So should we break that, we could very well come back to around 591.31, and if we break that level, 591.57, breaking that brings us back to around 591.96, and if we should break that level, I would watch around the 592.23, and as you can see, that's kind of like where the body of these candles were meeting here. So that 592 592.33 area. So if you're trading the SPY today, those are areas to the upside. Now, can we continue declining? Yes, we very well can. So losing this support here at the 589.20, I have the 588.92 as a support area. Should we break that 588.57? And if we should break that 588.08, breaking that 588.08 brings us back to around the 587.60, which something stopped us here. So definitely watch that. If we lose this area of support, we have broken through a good strong area of support for the SPY. So that 587.60, breaking that brings us back to around 587.20. Again here at 586.67, if we break that 586.67, we have 586.30, and as you can see, a few layers. So 586.30 down to the 586.08 could very well be a support area. Should we break that area, 585.74. So if you are trading the SPY today, again, I say trade carefully, y'all. In this market, anything is possible. I did mention that the SPY is an inside day candle, so I will give the trigger back to the upside because y'all know anything is possible, right? So back to the upside, if we should break above the 594.08, the upside target for the SPY today is 595.56. However, we are, kind of under that trigger to the downside, which was the 589.61, and it did meet the target already, which I had at 588.08. So that is interesting to know that, it could very well continue declining, or we can use this as a support and move back to the upside. That's why it's important, y'all, that you trade what you see. So let's see where we are today with AMD. AMD closed at 113.51, and it too has been trading in, it was trading in this gathering spot here, or the zone, as I like to say. And I'm going to see if I can make that line, because I wanted to show how price is just kind of like in this area here, in this zone here. So we definitely need to be careful. And it looks like we're breaking out of that and have a resistance area, and it looks like we're breaking through that 114.28. So I always say, where are the trouble places? Keep in mind this candle has not closed, so we have to be very, very careful with that. Just because we go up to that area does not mean we stay at that place. That's mindful. Be mindful of that. So where are the trouble places for AMD as of right now? We say the 114.61 is a resistance area, 114.83, and breaking that level, we could very well come back to around the 114.97. Breaking that 114.97, 115.19 could be a trouble place, and if we should break that, 115.25 not far away. However, if we break that level, 115.79 could be a resistance area for AMD. Now breaking that 115.79, you see there's a big distance from that level up to the next level I have marked at the 116.86. So anything can stop us out here. So I would say trade carefully if that's something that you trade. Now back to the downside, let's say we break back under our support here at 113.56, we could very well come back to around the 113.27. If we should break that level, we can come back to around the 113.01. Should we break that, we see the ATR trailing stop, which is forming here around the 112.96. In my opinion, that's going to be a strong support area for us. Now breaking that, we could very well come back to this level here around the 112.54. Breaking that 112.54 for AMD, we can come back to 112.08. And if we should lose that, or to 112.01, not far away, right? Should we lose that area, we could very well come back to 111.42. Keep in mind, something can stop us out in this area here. And y'all keep in mind, I look at support and resistance on a much smaller scale. Why? Because when I'm in the trade, I kind of want to know where my possible trouble, where my possible trouble places are. So again, we're looking at Meta now at, we closed at 637.10. It looks kind of like the SPY. Looked like we went down, bounced, found some support, moved back to the upside. Meta is an inside day candle. That's interesting. It looks like we're getting rejected as of now at this ATR trail and stop, which is not far from that 20 EMA. So these are the things that we definitely need to be careful with. So if you're trading Meta today, possible trouble places to the upside, 633.80. If we should break that area, we could very well have trouble again around 634.33. If we should break that area, 634.77, and breaking through that resistance, we could possibly have trouble again, 635.49. And as you can see, we've been at this place before. It was a support place for us. This will be an example of, this will now be our resistance. So if we break that 635.49, we could very well come back to 636.44. Should we break that, 636.92, and if we should break that level, 637.38. Breaking that brings us back to around, let's say, around the 638.57, and if we should break that 639.05, breaking that 639.05, 639.35 could be a resistance area for Meta. Now back to the downside, let's say we break under this level here. Right now the 5 EMA is what's holding us up, so under that 632.18, and you know, I have right here 632.19. So under this area here, we could very well come back to 630.86. Should we break that level, 630.17, and again here at 627.60, if we should break that area, we could possibly find support 626.18. And keep in mind, there's a few, you know, areas here that could stop us out back to the next level that I have marked as support, and that's around 622.08. So from the 626.18 down to the 622.08, we could very well get stopped out here. So I say trade carefully in this zone here. So we break that level of support, we could very well come back to 620.72. So if you are trading Meta today, I say trade carefully. Again, it is an inside day candle, so what I like to do is give the trigger to that. Now, if by chance we break back to the upside, 639.35, if we break beyond that, then 643.01 is the target, possibly. Now, to the downside, if we break under 632.19, downside target, we've already reached that at 627.62. However, we can very well get rejected and continue declining. To the downside, again, not financial advice. These are possible targets. I say trade carefully, mark your levels, and once it goes against your why, get out. I say that so often. Live to trade another day. I do believe Apple is an inside day candle. Yes. So if by chance Apple break above 208.49, we have an upside target of 209.48. Now to the downside, if we break under 204.97, downside target for Apple today, 204.27. It is an inside day candle. So if that's something that you trade, I say trade carefully. Bank of America is also an inside day candle for today. And again, I look at those because it kind of gives me a possible target to the upside or to the downside. So the trigger for Bank of America today, if we break above 44.93, upside target 45.14. Now to the downside, under 44.38, we have a downside target of 44.08. So if you're trading Bank of America, I say trade carefully. TSLA is an inside day candle also. So we closed at 167.22. If by chance we break above 172.83, upside target is 174.08. Now to the downside, let's see. If by chance we break under this 164.72, and as you can see, we've already tested that area, breaking under the 164.72 gives us a downside target for FSLR, downside target 160.76. So if that is something that you trade today, y'all know I say trade carefully. Did we look at NVDA today? Looks as if we closed at 134.38. And it too is an inside day candle. We have a lot of inside day candles today, right? So it seems to be bouncing off of this ATR trail and stop, y'all. In my opinion, that is a strong support or a strong resistance. It is support in this case. I always say, where are the trouble places right now? It seems like that 133.47 is a trouble place for us. It seems like we went to this, it came to this area, it wicked really, you know, there's some sellers in this area, so we definitely need to be careful there. Should we break that, we could possibly have trouble 133.69. Should we break that area, we could possibly have trouble 133.79, which is that 50 EMA as of now. I'm going to use that as a resistance area. Should we break that, 133.88, and if we break that level, 134.03. Breaking that 134.03, price came back to around the 130. This area, I'm going to see if I can mark that. We came back to the 134.20 and possibly have a little trouble in that area. Should we break that level, we could very well come back to around the 134.54 and have some trouble possibly. And if we break that level for NVIDIA, the 134.91 could be a rejection area for us. Breaking that 134.91, we could possibly have trouble again, 135.06. If we should break that 135.06, we possibly could have trouble again around the 135.46 area. Now back to the downside, as you can see, we have the 200 EMA as a support. Price has just right here in this area. So I'm going to use that as my support, 133.21 area. Should we break that, we could very well come back down to this area of 132.89 and breaking that 132.71. And if we should break that area, which is the ATR trailing stop, again, strong support in my opinion, 132.58. Breaking that brings us back to around the 132.29. And if we should break that area, 131.81 could be a support place for us for NVIDIA, and breaking that level, 131.58. Now, if we break that 131.58, we could very well come back to around the 131.18. So if you're trading NVIDIA today, those are possible areas of, upside, downside support and resistance. Right? So again, I did mention it is an inside day candle. So if by chance we break above, I would say this area of 134, did I say 183? 134.57, that is our trigger to the upside. We could possibly have an upside target of 135.85. Now to the downside, if we break under this level 132.58, downside target for NVIDIA today is 132.33. So if NVIDIA is something that you trade, I say trade carefully, y'all. I say in this market that, anything is possible. Nothing is guaranteed. I will say that Microsoft is an inside day candle. Also, we closed at 458.17. So if Microsoft is something that you trade, if by chance we break above 458.37, we have an upside target of 459.59. Now to the downside, under 454.22, downside target is 450.58. Microsoft is an inside day candle. I say trade carefully, y'all. So I would say mark your levels, and once it goes against your why, get out. Live to trade another day. So y'all, this is what I see when I look at the market. There's so many different ways to trade the market, and so what's challenging is trying to find the strategy that works best for you and having the discipline to execute your plan. Make sure you set your stop losses or whatever it is that you choose to use, but be sure to get out when it's time to get out and get in when it's okay to get in. I say that often, again, not financial advice. So I hope that everyone have a very profitable and a very, very productive day today. If you can, again, please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all. We learn and we grow together. So until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.